Hey y'all, welcome to the Honesty Circle, the safe space to discuss growing in adulthood, mental health, faith, and all the things in between. It's your host, Sierra Elise, and I hope you're taking care of not only your mental and spiritual, but your emotional and physical health so you can be your best self this week. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Honesty Circle. We are talking today about kind of how I'm reflecting and planning for the upcoming new year, reflecting on the old and really preparing for this new year and how I can be my best self. And I hope that it inspires you to, hopefully you were thinking through some things that went well this year for you and some things that you might have forgotten about, but also preparing for the new year and thinking what new goals you want to accomplish. And yeah, so I have a kind of like a list of questions that I've been pondering on. I think it's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 questions, similar. So I'm just gonna go through some of these questions and kind of sharing my answers to them. Feel free to kind of write these down too, so you can take some time to reflect on your personally as well. I'm sharing my experience, but feel free, like in the comments on YouTube, or also if you see us on Instagram or follow us on Instagram, feel free to comment kind of any of your answers to your questions as well. We want to make sure that we are in this together and that you're not alone. So the first question I have I've been thinking about was, what's your major accomplishments this year? So my first one would be obviously starting back up the Honesty Circle. Although it didn't happen at the beginning of the year, it still happened, and it was this episode's coming out the top of the year. So 15 episodes of consistency, which is so really amazing. And there's still so much more, like, I feel that is I have to give as well. So I feel like the last time when I stopped, it was like, oh, I had nothing else I felt like I wanted to share, but I still have so many ideas and things like that. So that's probably my number one, tied. My second one is definitely my lovely co-host that's always here, Zeke. Becoming a dog mom was kind of a big deal for me. It's having a little bit more responsibility. It's also having, just a companion, and he's so nice and so loving. But also trying to raise him and to be a good dog as well. Like, you want to train him and get him on a routine and things like that, and allowing myself to get on a similar routine. So those are like my two big accomplishments this year. I also would say finishing my first year of my job, that was a lot, but also in that first year, taking on new initiatives and bringing back new things that really hadn't existed before, but not fully. So I think that's a really big accomplishment as well, because it's something I'm also passionate about. So I say work, but also it's a passion area for me. So I think that is another really big accomplishment that I've done in 2023. Another question is what challenges I faced and how did I overcome them? I think one of my biggest challenges this year was kind of confidence at work, but also I think that's in other areas too. And I mean, obviously I had an episode about imposter syndrome, and that's something that I think I have overcome, but I think it's something that's going to be continuous, like kind of overcoming. Like, it's not something you just overcome it once and it's just done. It's something that I have to continue to work towards to make sure that I don't feel like an imposter in my workplace. And the reason I say that too, because I think it also gaining more confidence at work allowed me to be confident in a lot of different areas, like my outfits to work and how I want to present myself, and finding my voice. Those like small things that, yes, they are at work, but I think that I'm also able to utilize those skills that I learned while working to kind of overcome imposter syndrome and continuously overcome imposter syndrome. I'm able to use that in other areas of my life. And so that was one of my biggest challenges. But I think that I'm kind of the most confident I've ever been. I never thought I was kind of insecure, but I just don't think I was also had this level of confidence in like knowing who I am and what I want and what I'm doing. And even if I don't know what I'm doing, just being confident in to ask questions. So I think that's probably one of my biggest challenges that I faced this year. Another one is kind of facing my own, like, how do I say it? Facing my own shortcomings. I think in the same level of growing in confidence and learning more about your own shortcomings. I think in your 20s, that's when you're kind of learning and figuring out like what it is and who you are and things that, you know, that you are and you have been that you no longer want to be and ways you can grow. So I definitely think that's another thing. I think that's a challenge in general that's going to be continuous. Like you're going to always be learning more about yourself. And so I think that's something that I've been learning more and more about myself. And it's a challenge, but it's also very, very rewarding. So that is one. And in the same vein, like kind of the next question is what I learned about myself this year. Phew, I've learned a lot about myself. I learned that I'm capable. And that sounds crazy, but I mean, I kind of talked about it in other episodes in my imposter syndrome. Like I genuinely didn't think I was. And now that I know like very confidently that I am, and kind of everything that I do, I'm confident and I'm capable. So that's one that I've learned about myself. Kind of every episode that you have heard, if you've listened to the new episodes, it's been lessons that I've learned, being controlling, learning that I have imposter syndrome, small things like that. I think a lot of them have what I've kind of learned about myself, but I would probably say number one is being controlling. And it's still something I'm going to be working towards in 2024. But I think now that I'm more aware of it and conscious of it, I'm able to be better at it and relinquishing some control. So that is what I've learned about myself this year. Into some fun things. What are some highlights and memorable moments? This year, I've experienced so many new things that like new places, new foods. I don't know if you guys knew this before, but you guys probably don't know this before, but I was a pescatarian from my junior year of high school up until like January, February. I think it was February because I first ate wings at the Super Bowl. I think it was the Super Bowl. Was it the Super Bowl? Okay, whatever time it was like latest January, February time is when I stopped eating meat. Or started eating meat again. So how many years is that? A lot of years. I can't do math. But so doing that, but then also now that I was eating meat again, I was kind of trying a lot of new foods, like diving more into different cuisines that I didn't really eat before. And then also when I go different places, new restaurants, trying not to get the same thing. So like I like realizing that I like Thai food, but like not getting the exact same Thai food at every single restaurant, but trying different ones. That's been really cool. But also going to different places. So some places I've traveled, I went to Las Vegas. That was really fun. That was for a conference, but that was like the first time I traveled that far away from in the country, across the country, but by myself. And so that was really nice. I also went there knowing not a single person at all. And I left really making some really good connections and relationships in the field that I work in. So that was really nice because I really had to put myself out there at work, but in a work kind of setting for like networking. And I also really didn't networking at all before. So that's number one. Another one was going to LA. So that was the first time I went to the West Coast. Went to LA with my best friends. That was such a great trip. It was a girls trip, and seeing my friends and the memories that we made are just the laughs. Oh, I love them. Shout out to my girls. Another one was I went to DC for the first time. That was really cool because obviously you get to see like the monuments. And no, that wasn't my first time. I'm lying. That was not my first time. The first time I went with my boyfriend in 2022. So that was a lie. But that was my first time going to DC with my friends because they have gone, like my friend group has gone before. So going with them was really fun. But I think also too, I would say I said DC though because I experienced new things when I went to DC that time. Like I rode the metro, and that was crazy to me. But a story for a different time. Another one I traveled to Maryland and Norfolk, Virginia. Those were both for basketball reasons, but they were really fun, and kind of sporadic trips where it was like just a weekend, but I was able to kind of take in the scenery. So that was really nice. I went to this beach, Topsail Island. That was really nice. So I just really was able to travel and see different places. So I'm just really thankful because those were all really memorable moments. And I think I was able to, in these time, I think why traveling to new experience meant so much to me this year is because I was in a more like present mindset. And so I was able to really take in where I was and explore and realizing my joy, the joy that I get when I'm able to just sit and not sit, but like walk around and explore a new place. Like it's not always, for me, it's not always about like going out or experiencing nightlife, but just kind of experiencing things in the day too. And like, that's also have been very enjoyable for my trips. So next one that I've been thinking about is kind of what goals did I achieve and what goals did I not meet? I think sometimes in the same breath of thinking about the positive of the year, and I don't think that we should go straight negative every time, but I think it's very important to really think about when we think about the goals and we look back at kind of things that we accomplished. I think it's also important to kind of thinking where you fell short, and it's okay that you fell short, because it's important to give yourself grace, and know that you're not perfect, but then also it makes you aware of things. Maybe it's not a goal that you want to have anymore. Maybe it's okay, co-star, but maybe it's a goal that you don't want to have anymore, or maybe it's a different area, like maybe it just changed, right? Like maybe it's just no longer something that you focus on. So I think it's important to just reflect on that as well. So some goals that I did accomplish this year, one was making new friends. I really made some really good friends, and some people I really want to stay connected with and grow our friendship. So that was really nice. That was a goal of mine, to just kind of enjoy the people that I'm around, and because a lot of my friends live farther away, so enjoying the people that I'm around and developing friendship was one of the goals I had. Another one I had was obviously starting back up the Honesty Circle. That was a success. Shout out to that. Another goal that I had too was to be more active. I think that I was more active this year. I don't think I was as consistent as I wanted to be, but I do think that I did a good job of just moving my body more. And when I say I've been trying to reframe, which I also did a good job this year doing, reframing what physical health and physical activity looked like for me, because I don't like the gym. I don't like to go to the gym. And I think I started off the year trying to like go to the gym and like lift weights and like, drink my protein shake and blah, blah, blah. And I just was like, that's not a life I like. I don't like to go to the gym. And I was like really forcing it at the beginning of the year. But I did a good job of like reframing that and like, what does physical activity look like to me? Like, do I want to be walking? Do I want to run? And finding what I enjoy. Because while I do think that I can push myself to do things that you don't really like, at the same time, I do think for me personally that finding joy in the workout has been nice. And so a lot of Pilates and yoga has happened this year, which I think helped me too, because I think it connect me back. It's not the same thing, but kind of similar body and like pointing your toes and stuff like that, like I did in gymnastics when I was younger. And that brought me so much joy. And so finding the joy in those things instead of just going to the gym and lifting weights has been something that I reframed this year. And I think I did a good job of reframing that. So yeah. Something I fell short on this year though was with moving to a new area. And I wanted to find like healthcare professionals in my area. So like a primary care doctor, going to get my eyes checked, teeth, all of those things. And I didn't do that this year. And I did a lot of work to like find those people that can be like my person, my dentist, my whatever, all those things. But I didn't really follow through with it and ever make the appointment. And so I definitely fell short on that. I think I kind of I don't chalk that up. I know it really how much 100% came from a busy schedule this year. And so just making time for my like physical health in a way that is seeing a professional has been important to me. And so I'm going to make sure that I kind of have that on my list again for 2024. I don't want to go another year without finding the people like that are for me. Also in that same vein, finding a therapist. I wanted to find a therapist this year. I did not. And yeah, I definitely want to find my people. Like I feel like I found my community of friends, but I also want to find that community of like in the healthcare area. So like building that community for me. So that's something I fell short on this year. I also feel like I fell short too on being as consistent in my word as I wanted to be. Run it back. I did a very good job this year at getting deeper in my word that I didn't do previously. However, because getting deeper took up more time or takes more time for me because I read slow and I read slower to be able to fully comprehend. I don't want to just read to read. I like read it, go back, read it, look up that word, like doing all of that. While I did a good amount of that this year, I don't think I was as consistent as I wanted to be. And at times when I would like not read my Bible, I think like when I don't do it, like you miss a day and like you continue to miss, like I also have some level of shame around that. So, and like beating myself up. And so trying not to do that this year that's what happened this year. And so I want to continue to learn more about who God is and dive deeper in the word and not just reading it to read it, but read it to fully digest and comprehend and open my eyes to who God is, like I said. But I also don't want to beat myself up if I fall short, if I miss a day. And so while I want to read more in number, I don't want to have that same level of like shame or like disappointment in myself if I fall short. So that's that. How did I manage my time and priorities this year? So I think the year went in chunks for me. So the beginning of the year, like I would say the first quarter-ish, I was so good. Like I was waking up in the morning, like before work, I was working out, I'm making my breakfast, I'm eating my protein shake. That was when I was in my like gym time. And like I didn't really like my life at that time. I really didn't. And then it went to like summertime where there was not much, I didn't really have many priorities, but then I got a dog. That's when priorities and things shifted. And I also started the Honesty Circle back up. So I think majority of the time I did a great job, probably better in the past of like planning ahead than I have before. But now that I have a dog, I'm doing the Honesty Circle and I have some other goals I have in 2024. I can't sit back and kick my feet up as long as I did this year. The period of time in which I kicked my feet up and did nothing was a little too much. But yeah, I think that we're going to get it this year. We're just going to get it this year and it's going to be great. So I did a pretty good job. I think I'm better now and I think I'm in a good headspace to fully do that. And like manage my time and my priorities in a good way. What relationships were significant and how did they evolve? Ooh. So the relationship that were very important to me, obviously my boyfriend, and I don't want to dive too deep. I never really dive deep in my relationship and I don't ever plan to, unless he's on the podcast, and I still don't think that we'll talk about a relationship on the mic. But I think that was a very important relationship this year. Our relationship went through some changes. And I think that we were able to kind of find a routine and what worked for us. So I think that was really nice this year. But also another relationship that was important to me this year was I would say my new best friend, Annie. I did an episode with her this year. That was a really important relationship this year. I think she is someone that I truly want in my life for a long time and hopefully the rest of my life. But we got really close this year, and like spending more time together outside of work, like, and learning more about each other and like how we operate, and like just being there for each other too. Like she was there for me through a lot, and like different things that, you know, were coming up in my head and on my side, and hopefully she feels the same, that I was there for her through hers. So that was a relationship that was very important to me too. And obviously family, my siblings, my younger sister moving back to North Carolina, that was how that relationship evolved. Love that she's back in the state. And yeah, I think I did a good job this year too. Oh, this is another goal of mine that I had last year, of talking more to my extended family members outside of like my parents and my siblings. I think I did a better job of like outreaching to my grandparents. You know, I think as I'm getting older, I'm realizing like they're not going to be here for forever. And while that's scary to think about, it's also important that I just cherish them while they're here. And I think that's the side that I try to think of it more, and not the negative, like they're going to be gone, but think about like, how can I cherish them while they're here? And so I think I did a better job of outreaching them. I also took a trip. Oh, that's a good one. I forgot. I took a trip to Michigan. That was the first time I went to Michigan. Like my mom went, and I just decided that I was like, oh, I need to see my grandparents. And I just like up and went and booked a flight and went. And I think that was the first time I was kind of impulsively like traveled. That was so good. That was such a good trip to see my grandparents. And I also saw my sister on that trip when she lived in Michigan. But yeah, so I think I just did a better job of outreaching to people that are important to me, and making sure that I continuously evolve those relationships. How to take care of my physical and mental well-being. Well, we talked about this a little bit, but physical, I did move my body more this year. I definitely was more active, and not the generic way of like just working out, but I also was getting more steps in a day, making sure I was like walking a little bit more. And that was even before I had a dog. Like I was like taking walks at work sometimes. All right. Taking more walks at work sometimes, just to get some steps in. So physical health, I think I was okay. I think I ate awful this year though, with eating meat. I stopped cooking as much because I was able to, like, oh, I can eat anything. And so my eating was like meh. But my mental well-being, I think I did a good job this year of how would I say? Well, I didn't go to therapy. I think I did a good job of fully processing how I feel and being able to deliver that in a good way, better way than in the past. We're still a work in progress, but my mental well-being, I think I took good care of it. I started like being more intentional in audio journaling. I didn't hand journal as much as this year as I done before. Like I don't think I journaled at all this year. But I think it's because I liked to talk, and so I just started doing audio journaling. So that's been very nice. So I think I did a pretty good job taking care of my mental well-being. I think I took breaks when I needed to. I think that I poured into myself when I needed to. Just being more in tune with what I personally need was really good. What new skills and knowledge did I acquire? Knowledge is this podcast equipment. Oh my gosh. The research that I did to figure out what I was going to do and how I'm going to do it and how I'm going to add video. Crazy. But we're here and we did it. So that's some new knowledge. I think some other new knowledge, obviously like work knowledge, learning more about different fields that I'm interested in going into. I've learned more about and done some research in, new skills. I don't necessarily think I've acquired any skills this year. Yeah, I don't think I've acquired any skills. Maybe that will change next year. I can't think of any skills that I want to specifically learn more or grow in. But hey, that could change. Some habits that serve me well. Y'all, this might sound so bad, but I never had a skincare routine before this full year. Yes, I'm about to be 25 years old and I'm just now got a skincare routine. Because, okay, so I didn't have bad skin. Like, I was very blessed. Thank God that he blessed me with pretty good skin, where I was like a wash and some lotion. Like, that's all I really had in me before. So that's kind of all I had. But I did better. I did better this year in like actually sticking to skincare routine. I've now in like I have a full routine now, which is crazy to think about because the top of the year was my goal was to have a morning routine, which included skincare and a skincare routine. So I just did better this year. I'm being really, really consistent, like almost. Okay, I don't know how many, I don't think I did every day, but I definitely did more days than I've ever done before in a year of skincare. And that's really great. I'm very proud of myself for that. So that's probably like the main habit that I was like really, really good at. Which one do I want to change? My nighttime routine is something that I want to change. I think I spend too much time looking at a screen, and I want to be able to kind of just shut it down a little earlier. And I just like sit in my bed and like watch TikToks until I like fall asleep, until I get sleepy. So I would say that is kind of what I want to change in the new year. And I think this year too, overall, was a pretty good year. I think I've grown a lot this year, and I just pray that I continue to grow in the other year. So my last thing I want to do too before this episode, I close this episode out, is that this year there's like a challenge that's like the in or out that I saw on TikTok. I actually did make a TikTok about it. And so it's like the in is like things that you want to keep in. So basically kind of the same thing that I do for the inner and outer circle. So my outer circle this year in 2024 is going to be negative self-talk. We are not talking down to ourselves. I think as I've gotten older and your body starts to change and you look in the mirror and it don't look the same as it did before, some negative self-talk can come about, and that is something I want to let go of. I want to speak positive to myself. I want to speak positive thoughts, positive words over myself. And so I know that negative self-talk will arise, but I want to do better at just contrasting it with a positive affirmation. And if it comes out, also just reminding myself like, oh, that's not true, that we're not speaking negative. And so like just correcting myself in the moment. I've been pretty good with it so far. I started it kind of already. So that's one. Self-doubt. That's something that I've kind of started to let go of in this year. So we are letting go of that imposter syndrome, self-doubt. We're not doubting. We are confident. We are capable, and we could do this. So that's something I'm letting go of. Also, excessive phone time, screen time specifically. My goal is to stay under 7 hours per day, which sounds like a lot. But if y'all saw what my screen time was now, you'd be like, girl, I don't know what are you doing today besides be on your phone. So that's why we're going to get it down to 7. And from there, we'll decrease as we need. Another one is impulsive spending. I need to let go of that, and that's going to be my outer circle. I've done better in the past week of my impulsive spending. I've had impulses, and I've settled them better than I have in the past. So that's another one. Another one is weekly fast food. The fast food near my house has seen me way too much this year, and I need to reel it back in. That's going to help my impulsive spending hopefully as well. Not eating out. I'm not saying not eating out, and not that I won't go to fast food places, but like consistently like multiple times a week, like I have got to cut it out. Another one is gossiping, comparison, and controlling. These are just things I want to rid myself of this year. And I know that also this is advice to people who are listening. Like as you're making your like list and like goals and things like that, remind yourself to like pray and ask God like what areas he wants to work on with you in the new year. Like don't let these goals just be super like sufficient. Like allow them to be things that are coming from him. Like spend some time in his word, spend some time talking with him, spend some time in silence too, where he can speak to you, just to help you guide through these goals and things like that. And so yeah, invite God in. And then some things I want in this year is learning more who God is, physical activity, at least 30 minutes a day. And that's every single day. Some planning in advance for the honesty circle. So continuously doing that. Another one is hearing the Lord's voice. Another one is seeking God first and inviting him in, new experiences, and organizing and decorating my home better. So those are some things that I want in this year. C's 2 cents for this week is to take some time to reflect on some things that you want out and in this coming up year or this new year. I pray that this year is a great year for you guys. I also pray that you spend some time with God and while kind of figuring out what you want to do and what goals you have. One thing that I'm kind of keeping top of mind is in this year is allowing God to disrupt my plans. I went to church last week, Sunday. It was Christmas Sunday, and my dad, who's a pastor, spoke about kind of disrupted for glory, and talked about how Mary's plans of how she probably thought her life was going to go were completely disrupted, but it was for the glory of God. And so it kind of really sat with me more and how someone as a planner and how oftentimes I plan, and I don't often allow room for or don't sometimes seek God to see where he wants to move. And every time where there's like a disruption, I kind of like push it away and thinking that it's like not from God, but sometimes it is from God. And so this year, I'm just hoping to be more receptive to what God is doing and God's plan and God's will for my life. And truly, that's why I haven't really set too many like hard goals. I think that it's been in my heart very heavy, and like how like there are some certain goals like I have, yes. And I've talked with God about that. But I also want to make sure that I'm allowing God to move and to have his will and for his plan to be exalted over mine. And so at the end of the day, that is my number one goal of the year, is to let God move and not be in his way. So that's it for this week's episode. Like I said, C's 2 cents is to take some time to reflect on this past year and prepare for the new year. And know that it's okay that you didn't reach all your goals. If you didn't reach a single one of your goals, it's okay. Just make sure that your goals are measurable. Make sure that they are specific. I know you guys have probably heard of the SMART goals. There's so many different plans and ways to kind of plan for the new year, and just find what works for you. Like, don't just go with the hype all the time. Find what works for you and stick to it. And I believe in you. So that's all for today. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode, y'all. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Like us on Spotify, wherever you listen to the Honesty Circle. But also make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Honesty Circle with an _@ the end to stay updated on Circle News. Thanks again so much for listening, and go conquer your week. Also, go conquer 2024. Love y'all. Have a great day.